Sri Sai Satcharitra, Chapter 5. Baba's return with Chand Patil's marriage party, welcomed and addressed as Sai, contact with other saints, his dress and daily routine, the story of the Padukas, wrestling bout with Mohyuddin and turning water into oil, the pseudo Guru Jawhar Ali. Written with Chand Patil's marriage party. As hinted in the last chapter, I shall now describe first how Sai Baba returned to Shirdi after his disappearance. There lived in the Bad district, in a village called Dhup, a well-to-do Mohammedan gentleman by name Chand Patil. While he was making a trip to Aurangabad, he lost his mare. For 2 long months he made a diligent search but could not get no trace of the lost mare. After being disappointed, he returned from Aurangabad with the saddle on his back. After traveling 4 course and a half, he came on the way to a mango tree under the foot of which sat a Ratna. He had a cap on his head, wore kafni, and had a satka under his armpit, and he was preparing to smoke a chilim. On seeing Chand Patil pass by the way, he called out to him and asked him to have a smoke and to rest a little. The fakir asked him and to rest a little. The fakir asked him about the saddle. Chand Patil replied that it was of his mare which was lost. The queer fellow or fakir asked him to make a search in the Nala close by. He went, and the wonder of wonders, he found out the mare. That this fakir was not an ordinary man, but an awliya, which is a great saint. He returned to the fakir with the mare. The chilim was ready for being smoked, but 2 things were wanting. First one, fire to light the pipe, and the second one, water. Took his prong and thrust it forcibly into the ground, and out came a live burning coal, which he put on the pipe. Then he dashed the satka on the ground, from whence water began to ooze. The chapi was wetted with the water, was then wrung out and wrapped round the pipe. Thus, everything being complete, the fakir smoked the chilim and then gave it to Chand Patil too. On seeing all this, Chand Patil was wonderstruck. He requested the fakir to come to his home and accept his hospitality. Next day, he went to the Patil's house and stayed there for some time. The Patil was a village officer of Dhup. His wife's brother's son was to be married, and the bride was from Shirdi. So Patil made preparations to start for Shirdi for their marriage. The fakir also accompanied the marriage party. The marriage went off without any hitch. The party returned to Dhup, except the fakir alone stayed in Shirdi and remained there forever. How the fakir got the name Sai. When the marriage party came to Shirdi, it alighted at the foot of a banyan tree in Bhagat Mahalsapati's field near Khandoba's temple. The carts were loosened in the open courtyard of Khandoba's temple, and the members of the party one by one, and the fakir also got down. Bhagat Mahalsapati saw the young fakir getting down and accosted him, Ya Sai, which means, Welcome Sai. Others also addressed him as Sai, and thenceforth he became known as Sai Baba. Contact with other saints. Sai Baba began to stay in a deserted masjid. One saint named Devi Das was living in Shirdi many years before Baba came there. Baba liked his company. He stayed with him in the Maruti temple in the Chowdi and sometimes lived alone. Then Baba spent most of his time in talking with him, or Janki Das went to Baba's residence. So also one Vaishya householder saint from Punatambe by name Gangagir also frequented Shirdi. When he first saw Sai Baba carrying pitchers of water in both carrying pitchers of water in both hands for watering the garden. He was amazed and said openly, "Blessed is Shirdi that it got this precious jewel. This man is carrying water today, but he is not an ordinary fellow, as this land, as in Shirdi, was lucky and meritorious. It secured this jewel." Also, one famous saint by name Anandnath of Yavala Mutt, a disciple of Akkalkot Maharaj, came to Shirdi with some Shirdi people. When he saw Sai Baba, he said openly, "This is a precious diamond in reality. Though he looks like an ordinary man, he is not a gar, not an ordinary stone, but a diamond. You will realize this in the near future." Saying this, he returned to Yavala. This was said while Sai Baba was a youngster. Baba's dress and daily routine. In his young days, Sai Baba grew hair on his head, never had his head shaved. He dressed like an athlete. When he went to Rahata, he brought with him small plants of marigold, jai, and jui, and after cleaning, he planted and watered them. A devotee by name Vaman Tatya supplied him daily with two earthen pitchers on his shoulders. In the evening, the pitchers were kept at the foot of the neem tree. As soon as they were placed there, they were broken, as they were made of raw earth and not baked. Next day, Tatya supplied two fresh pitchers. This course went on for 3 years, and with Sai Baba's toil and labor, there grew a flower garden. On this site at present stands a big mansion, Samadhi Mandir of Baba, which is now frequented and used by devotees. The story of Padukas under the neem tree. A devotee of Akkalkot Maharaj by name Bhai Krishnaji Ali Bakkar worshipped the photo of Akkalkot Maharaj. He once thought of going to Akkalkot, Sholapur district, taking the darshan of the Padukas of the Maharaj and offering his sincere worship there. Before he could go there, he got a vision in his dream. Akkalkot Maharaj appeared in the vision and said to him, "Now Shirdi is my resting place. Go there and offer your worship." So, Bhai changed his plan and came to Shirdi, worshipped Baba, stayed there for 6 months and was happy. As a reminiscence of this vision, he prepared the Padukas and installed them on an auspicious day of Shravan, Sheka 1834, which is 1912 AD, under the neem tree with due ceremonies and formalities conducted by Dada Kelkar and Upasani. One Dikshit the complete version of this story. Mr. B.V. Dev, retired Mamlatdar of Thana and a great devotee of Sai Baba, made inquired about this matter with Sagun Meru Nayak and Govind Kamlakar Dikshit and has published a full version of the Padukas in Sai Leela, volume 11, number 1, page 25. It runs as follows. In 1834 Shaka, 1912 AD, one Dr. Ramarao Kothare of Bombay came to Shirdi for Baba's darshan. His compounder and his friend Bhai Krishnaji Ali Bakkar accompanied him. The compounder and Bhai became intimate with Sagun Meru Nayak and G.K. Dikshit. While discussing things, these persons thought that there must be some memorial of the fact of Sai Baba's first coming to Shirdi and sitting under the holy neem tree. They thought of installing Baba's Padukas there and were going to make them of some rough stones. Then Bhai's friend, the compounder, suggested that if this matter be made to his master, Dr. Ramarao Kothare, who would prepare nice padukas for this purpose. All liked the proposal, and Dr. Kothare was informed of it. He came to Shirdi and drew a plan of the padukas. He went to Upasani Maharaj in Khandoba's temple and showed him his plan. The latter made many improvements, drew lotuses, flowers, conch, disc, man, and suggested that the following shloka regarding neem tree's greatness and Baba's yogic powers was inscribed. The verse is as follows. सदा निम्बवृक्षस्य मूलादिवासात् सुधाश्राविणं तिक्तमप्यप्रियन्तम् तरुं कल्पवृक्षादिकं साधयन्तं नमामीश्वरं सद्गुरुं साईनाथम्. Upasani's suggestion and sent to Shirdi with the compounder. Baba said that they should be installed on the Paurnami of Shravan. On that day at 11 a.m., G.K. Dikshit brought them on his head from Khandoba's temple to the Dwaraka Mai in procession. Baba touched the padukas, saying that these are of the Lord, and asked the people to install them under foot of the neem tree. A day before, one Parsi devotee of Bombay named Pasta Sheth sent 25 rupees by money order. Baba gave this sum for the installation of the padukas. The total expenses of installation came up to 100 rupees, of which 75 rupees were collected by subscriptions. For the first 5 years, G.K. Dikshit worshipped the padukas daily, and then this was done by Lakshman Kacheshwar Jakri. In the first 5 years, Dr. Kothare sent rupees 2 per month for lighting, and he also sent the railing round the padukas. The expense of bringing the railing from the station to Shirdi was 7 rupees 8 annas, and roofing was paid by Sagunmeru Nayak. Now, Jakadi Nana Pujari does the worship, and Sagunmeru Nayak offers the Naivedya and lights the evening lamps. Bhai Krishnaji was originally a devotee of Akkalkot Maharaj. He had come to Shirdi at the installation of the padukas in Sheka 1834 on his way to Akkalkot. He wanted to go to Akkalkot after taking the darshan of Baba. He asked Baba's permission for this. Baba said, "Oh, Maharaj of that place is here, myself." Hearing this, Bhai did not go to Akkalkot. He came to Shirdi off and on after the installation of padukas. Mr. B.V. Dev concluded that Hemarpan did not know these details. Had he known them, he would have not have failed to depict them in this Satcharitra. Wrestling bout with Mohiuddin Tamboli and change in life. To return to other stories of Baba, there was a wrestler in Shri named Mohiuddin Tamboli. Baba and he did not agree on some items, and both had a fight. In this, Baba was defeated. Thenceforth, Baba changed his dress and mode of living. He donned kafni, wore a langot, waistband, and covered his head with a piece of cloth. He took a piece of sackcloth for his bed, and was content with wearing torn and worn out rags. He always said that poverty is better than kinship, far better than lordship. The Lord is always brother of the poor. Gangagir was also very fond of wrestling. While he was once wrestling, a similar feeling of dispassion came over him, and at the proper time he heard the voice of an adept saying that he should wear a playing with God. So he too gave up samsara and turned towards God realization. He established a mutt on the banks of the river near Punatambe and lived there with his disciples. Sai Baba did not mix and speak with people when he was questioned. By day, he always sat under the neem tree, sometimes under the shade of a branch of a babul tree near the stream at the outskirts of the village. In the afternoon, he used to walk at random and go at times to Neemgaon. There he frequented the house of Bala Saheb Dengale. Baba loved Mr. Bala Saheb. His younger brother named Nana Saheb had no son, though he married a second wife. Bala Saheb sent Nana Saheb for taking darshan of Sai Baba and after some time with his grace, Nana Saheb got a son. From that time onwards, people began to come in numbers to see Sai Baba and his fame began to spread and reached Ahmednagar. From thence, Nana Sahib Chandorkar and Keshav Chidambar and many others began to come to Shirdi. Baba was surrounded by his devotees during day and slept at night in an old and dilapidated masjid. Baba's paraphernalia at this time consisted of a chilim, tobacco, a tumbrel, which is tin pot, long flowing kafni, a piece of cloth round his head and a satka, short stick, which he always kept with him. The piece of white cloth on the head was twisted like matted hair and flowed down from the left ear on the back. This was not washed for weeks. He wore no shoes, no sandals. A piece of sackcloth was his seat for most of the day. He wore a cowpeen, waist cloth band, and for warding off cold, he always sat in front of a duni, sacred fire, facing south, with his left hand resting on the wooden railing. In that dhuni, he offered as oblation egoism, desires. The masjid in which he sat was only of two-room dimensions where all devotees came and saw him. After 1912 AD, there was a change. The old masjid was repaired and a pavement was constructed. Before Baba came to live in this masjid, he lived for a long time in a place called Takia where with gungur, small bells on his legs, Baba danced beautifully, sang with tender love. Turning water into oil. Turning water into oil. Sai Baba was very fond of lights. He used to borrow oil from shopkeepers and keep lamps burning the whole night in the masjid and temple. This went on for some time. The Baniyas who supplied oil gratis once met together and decided not to give him any more oil. When as usual Baba went to ask for oil, they all gave him no as the answer. Unperturbed, Baba returned to the masjid and kept the dry wicks in the lamps. The Baniyas were watching him with curiosity. Baba took the tumbrel, the tin pot, which contained a very little, few drops of oil, put water into it and drank it and forced it for dinner. After consecrating the tin pot in this way, he again took water in the tin pot and filled all lamps with it and lighted them. To the surprise and dismay of the watching Baniyas, the lamps began to burn and kept burning the whole night. They became more truthful in future. The pseudo-guru Jawhar Ali. 5 years after the wrestling bout mentioned above, one fakir from Ahmednagar by name Jawhar Ali came to Rahata with his disciples and stayed in Bakhal, spacious room near Veerbhadra temple. The fakir was learned, could repeat the whole Quran and had a sweet tongue. Many religious and devout people of the village came to him and began to respect him. With the help of the people, he started to build an Eidgah, a wall before which Mohammedans pray on Eidgah day. Near the Veerabhadra temple, there was some quarrel about this affair, on account of which Jawhar Ali had to leave Rahta. Then he came to Shirdi and lived in the masjid with Baba. People were captured by his sweet talk, and he began to call Baba his disciple. Baba did not object and consented to be his chela. Then both Guru and Chela decided to return to Rahta and live there. The Guru, the teacher, never knew his disciple's worth, but the disciple knew the defects of the Guru. Still, he never disrespected him, observing carefully his duties. He even served the master in various ways, Shirdi on and off, but their mainstay was in Rahata. The loving devotees of Baba in Shirdi did not like that Baba should stay away from them in Rahata. So they went in a deputation to bring Baba back to Shirdi. When they met Baba near the Eidgah and told them the purpose of which they came, Baba said to them that the fakir was ill-tempered fellow, he would not leave him, and that they should better return to Shirdi without him before the fakir returned. While they were thus talking, the fakir turned up and was very angry with them for trying. There was some discussion and altercation, and it was finally decided that both the Guru and Chela should return to Shirdi. And so they returned and lived in Shirdi. But after a few days, the Guru was tested by Devi Das and he was found wanting. 12 years Baba arrived in Shirdi with the marriage party. This Devi Das was about 10 or 11 years aged, came to Shirdi and lived in the Maruti temple. Devidas had fine features and brilliant eyes, and he was dispassion incarnate and a gnani. Many persons, namely Tatya Kote, Kashinath, and others regarded him as their guru. They brought Jawhar Ali in his presence, and in the discussion that followed, Jawhar was warded from Shirdi. He went and stayed in Bijapur and returned after many years to Shirdi and prostrated himself before Sai Baba. The delusion that he was Guru and Sai Baba was his chela was cleared away, and as he repented, Sai Baba treated him with respect. In this case, Sai Baba showed by actual conduct how one should get rid of egoism and do the duties of a disciple to attain the highest end, that is, self-realization. This story is told here according to the version given by Mahalsapati, a great devotee of Sai Baba. In the next chapter will be described Ramanavami festival, the masjid, its former condition, and later